over a month ago, we got this bad boy from my grandfather's friend. They gave it to us for absolutely nothing. And we saw that by December, we would have gotten this restored and in proper working condition. It has been more than 30 days now, and we have done literally nothing. But here's why. Hola, 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 bafethu. My name is BRIO, and welcome back to another banger, another episode of BRIO Weekly. So in today's episode, I'm going to tell you everything there is to know about this quad bike and how far it is, how far we are with the journey, and why it's still not running and it's still not working properly. So grab a chair and prepare yourself for some story time. So as you might have seen in the previous video, we attempted to start this bad boy, but we failed. We failed dismally. And it was because of a couple of things. Things that we can fix, but things that are firstly hard to find, but secondly, they need a mechanic. And you all know I'm not no professional. I'm not a mechanic. I've never done this before. But with the help of Robbie, we're gonna smash this. We're gonna get this done, and we're gonna get this done properly. So as I said in the previous video, we mentioned that we did a little research and we actually found that, well, apparently, which was a lie, we found that we could start this bad boy without a battery, which was a lie. We can't start this with a battery. There are components we need to get this running, and a battery is one of the most important ones. We don't have a battery, we don't have a fuel tank, but in the previous episode we made our own fuel tank, which can help here and there. So we don't have a battery, we don't have a fuel tank, we don't have the electronic ignition. It is here, but it's not in a good condition, and the wiring is not good. We also need to sort the wiring out. In part 1 of episode 19, we made a couple of promises and we made a couple of bets. The promises were that by December, this bad boy would be running and would be working. I know it's still November and we still have time, but we'll see. We'll see. So today's episode is basically to give you guys an insight on why we haven't done much progress, what we still need to get, and most importantly, what Robbie has told us about this quad bike, or about quad bikes in general, that could actually help us to get this quad bike running and working properly. And disclaimer, guys, we are not giving up. We are not letting this go. Whether we get it done by December or by January 2025, we will get this done. Mark my words, we will get this done. Trust me. And I know most of you out there are doubting me, as you have been doubting me in the first place. Because when we did part 1 of this series, most of you, a lot of you, had this to say.
Chile.
2034 ka di 6 tša go pupa taba se fela
Ti arbethe nna ke re December ntho te be bereka
e bereka o diana
a e bereka le sharp e felletse ina everything le di panel everything
taba e sepela
te be sip everything.
I know there are a lot of you out there. There are a lot of you who have faith in me, who have faith in us, and you know, guys, that we can actually make this work. So as I said, it's still November. The deadline is December, but even if we don't get it done by December, the aim is just to get it done, which is exactly what we will do. Trust me. I know when we started this, we didn't know anything about this quad bike. But right now, I can tell you, we know a couple of things. Obviously, not everything. We still have a lot to learn. We still have a lot to go through. But right now, we managed to get the model. the name and model of this quad bike. So the name of this quad bike is the Ion, AEONE, Ion Cobra Mini Colt 50. And this quad bike is a 2007 model. They were made between 2005 and 2007. So you guys already know, you can probably tell that this is an old quad bike, very, very old. So which makes the parts very difficult to get, but most importantly, very expensive. And this is where Robbie comes in. So we spoke to Robbie, as you know, and as we have introduced Robbie in the previous episode. Robbie is the one guiding us through this fix, and a big shout out to Robbie. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you. And that is where Robbie comes in. Robbie has been helping us since the previous episode, which was part 2 of episode 19, and he's been a very important factor to the rebuilding and restoration of this quad bike. He's helping us with a lot of things, helping us into getting to know what this bike is, how it functions, what we need to look at when we want to fix everything about it. Robbie is a good guy with a lot of experience, and thank you very much, Robbie. Shout out to you. So basically, Robbie has told us that there are a couple of things that we need to make sure that are working before we start, going headfirst into this rebuild and restoration. Before we start buying panels, before we start buying expensive things, we must start with the small things. We must start with the most important things. And number one, obviously, it is the engine. So before we go into the things that Robbie told us that we need to look at, that we need to fix, that we need to get before we can get it running, let me tell you what Robbie said about the price of this and the price of replacement parts, basically. So in episode 1, what we said about the price of this, we estimated it to about 5k new. But Robbie was like, my guy, where did you get those prices? And I couldn't come up with an answer. So Robbie told me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. This quad bike new fetches just over 10,000 rands. Imagine that. Let that sink in. So we've got an expensive vehicle right here. Not too expensive, obviously, but for starters, this is expensive. Now that only means that the restoration will not be any cheap, guys. In episode 1, in part 1 rather of episode 19, we estimated the restoration of this to cost around 3k, which was also wrong, obviously. But now one would ask, but BRIO, where did you get those prices? Well, the internet has a lot of information, both good and bad. And I think I fell victim to the bad information, because when I looked up prices for the parts, they were very cheap. They were very, very cheap. I remember looking at a starter motor for a quad bike like this, which went for like 250 to 300 rands. But when Robbie told me the real and true cost of a starter motor for this quad bike, I was shocked. Robbie told me that the one they have in stock for this specific quad bike was a bit under 1,000 rand, which was 950 rand. And I was shocked. I was very shocked. And that made me realize how expensive this restoration might actually get, because we need a lot of parts. We need so many parts. I remember when I first started talking to Robbie, and he asked me what budget I have for this quad bike, what budget I have for the restoration. And I told him around 3k, and I've already spent like 700 rands on the toolbox and the anti-rust spray. And he was like, I do not think you will make this with that budget. This budget or this quad bike will actually cost way more than 5k or even more than 6k. And At first I was like, Robbie, but now I came to that realization that this will actually cost us way more than we had initially thought or initially hoped. Because at first we didn't want to spend too much on this. When I looked at this, I thought, nah, this is not, this is not gonna be expensive. This is not gonna be a hard job. I really and honestly did underestimate this, and now it's coming back to bite me, and it's biting me real hard. But we are still in this. We are still in this. Robbie assured me that this is totally fixable, although it's gonna cost a lot. But this is totally fixable, and he helped me. He told me exactly where to start, what to look for, and I'll be working with him in this rebuild, in the entire rebuild. I hope Robbie doesn't give up on me. But yeah, he'll be helping me, and he's doing it free of charge. He's not charging me anything. Thank you very much, Robbie. Thank you. I wouldn't have done this without you, or I wouldn't be doing this without you. But I guess the journey starts now. So guys, as I said, Robbie will be helping us throughout this build. So what he told us was that the first thing to do when we want to check the condition, firstly we have to check the condition of the motor, how it looks inside, and if there's anything wrong, then we know that we have to start there. So the first and most important thing we need to do is to get the head out. The head of the motor, we need to get it out and check it out if it's still in good condition. So let's start by doing that today. So guys, as you can see guys, this is the head, rather. This is the head of the engine, and we need to take that out. So in order to take that out, firstly I think we need to remove that spark plug line right there. The spark plug line we need to remove, and there are 4 bolts holding this to the engine, and we will need to remove that. And I think also we need to remove the exhaust, because the exhaust is mounted just under there. So we'll need to remove the exhaust in order to get the head out. And yeah, let's crack on with that. And yeah, I think that will be the first step of getting this head out. And guys, I don't know if that spark plug should be chilling like that, because if you pull this, it goes right out like that. It goes right out. I don't know if that should be happening, but yeah, since we have that out, I think let's tackle those 4 bolts. Yeah, bolt number 1 is here, number 2 is on the other side. Let's tackle those 4 bolts and let's get this out. We started by lifting the quad bike onto a couple of bricks so that we can have some ground clearance in order to put a small container under the quad bike, just in case anything falls, it falls into that container and does not get lost. The bolts were a little rusted from sitting in the weather for such a long time, so we had to use the Q20 spray that we got online to loosen down the rust and make our job a little easier. As the spray was doing its magic, we actually got the bolt holding the exhaust out, as it was finger tight and did not need any tools. And then we cracked on with removing the 4 bolts that were holding the head and sleeve to the engine.
So as you guys know, we have more missing parts than we would have liked to have, which number one obviously is the tank, which sits here, and the battery. But what is most concerning is the wiring loom, the wiring harness. Whoever destroyed this wiring harness has something wrong with him. But it's not too bad. As Robbie said, it can be fixed and we can work around it, because most of the plugs that go to where they need to go are intact. Like this plug goes to the ignition, and as you can see, they snapped off the wires here, but the plug from here going up, this can be disconnected. This can be disconnected like that. You get, this can be disconnected, and the plug going up is okay. And other plugs like this one going to the lights, and this one going to the back, and this one, I think this is for the what's this, for the oil gauge, and this one goes to the starter motor. So the plugs going to where they need to go are fairly in good conditions. The only problem is these wires have been snapped. Most of them have been snapped, and people try to rewire them. They've all been snapped, all of them. But yes, this can actually work to our advantage. You see, even this plug goes out. We change that with a new plug, or we just get new wires to replace these ones, and everything will be good. But as I said, one of the things that got me sold obviously was this. Seeing that this can go to 80 kilometers per hour is what really sold me, what really made me want to restore this. So as I said, the ignition is here, but as you can see, it's not in the best condition. And this is the master cylinder, is also not in the best condition. And these are the start stop buttons, the on and off, the indicators and everything, also not in good condition. This is the throttle, the accelerator. I think this is fairly in not so bad of a condition, if you ask me. This is not in so bad of a condition because it still works, and I tried checking it on the carburetor and it still pulls what it needs to pull. So yeah, it's not as bad as one would think, but there's a lot to do, very much to do. We are missing the negative wire that goes to the battery. This is the positive wire, so we are missing the negative wire. And yeah, we need to get the wires together. We need to get the wiring harness together and working properly.
And as my high school headmaster would say, how do you eat an elephant? Bit by bit. So we are going to tackle this Quadbike bit by bit. Let's crack on with this, guys. Let's go. We ran into some difficulty when we were trying to remove the sleeve from the bolts holding it to the engine, and this is mainly because we chose not to remove the front suspension from the Quadbike before we removed the head and the sleeve, and that in particular is what made it difficult for us to remove the sleeve. But with a little persuasion, with a little knock here and there and a little tickle, we managed to remove the sleeve.
Look at the condition of that inside of there. It does not look good. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is gonna be expensive. This is gonna be very, very expensive. Just by looking at it. So right now, we're gonna take pictures of these, send them to Robbie, and get what he thinks. Just get what he thinks and take it from there. So, guys, thank you for watching today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, we've got a lot of things not done. We still have a long way to go, but there's little progress. Beginning on a small progress there is, and yeah. See you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share this video. Till next time, sharp guys.